positive thinking. And just be you know that this talk is being organized by St. Philip's Church of Uganda Youth Department in partnership with the Great Family. And the Youth Department, they have this honor to organize this online event, which will happen every month, once in a month, whereby the Youth Department, together with the Great Family, they will identify a topic, or is a challenge, or is an issue which is affecting the youth. Then a speaker will be called upon to share about that related topic, which will be online. And this discussion will run as I'm going to indicate for you. One, we shall be hearing that presentation from Mr. Luigi. What I want to emphasize is that you have your notebooks, you have your pens ready, you'll be taking note of each and everything that he will be communicating. And after that, there will be room for you to ask your questions, or is there will also be room for you to maybe comment on whatever he has said, because I know each one of us here, they are also experts. So not to waste a lot of time, allow me to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Luigi Bano to officially unmute his mic and address this great youth. And maybe if you have a question as he'll be presenting, so that it cannot go off, I will encourage that you keep dropping it on the chat box. I'll take note of them. Thank you, Mr. Luigi. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much, Becca. And the weight of expectation that you have created is a big one. I believe that I will be able to make my contribution. Becca already said a few things about me, and I will not add to that, but I would just like to say that I'm very excited to be here. Maybe what I can say is I also come from West Nile. I'm a Lugbara by tribe, although a good part of my life was in Tororo. I worked in Arua actually for 2 years, 2016 and 17. And in the middle of 2018, I left, and now I work in Kampala. I work for an organization called Horizon 3000, and I coordinate one of their programs in the area of agriculture, implemented among 4 organizations in Uganda and Tanzania. But besides that area, I also focus a lot on issues of mindset change and issues of inspiration, because I come from a background where I struggled with motivation in the beginning years of my life. I think until senior 3, when for the first time I came across someone we call a motivational speaker. And that day he spoke a lot of things, and he told us about the power of positive thinking, and he reminded us about the potential each of us really had if we just dared to dream bigger and bigger. And from that day, I realized that this was something I needed for such a long time. And among the students who were often known to be stubborn, surprisingly, everyone stayed still. No one went for break tea. And this was something that was so powerful for all of us that day. And I committed from that day in the year 2003. That was 2006. I was in senior 3 by that time. That from that day onwards, I will want to be a messenger of hope wherever I go. And to have a chance to share with you today is really a very, very special moment. So I want to start by saying a few things, more like a preamble to this. Our topic is positive thinking. First of all, it's hard to talk about positive thinking without talking about negative thinking, because the two go hand in hand. And I also want to say that all of us at one moment or every other time find ourselves on both sides of the coin. And it doesn't mean that if you're a positive thinker, negative thoughts never come. Even myself as an individual. So I find this a very important topic because it affects all of us, and none of us is really an exception. But I think the difference is in that for some of us, maybe the frequency of the negative thoughts can be more rampant than for other people, and also the extent to which these negative thoughts go varies from one person to another. Someone once said that if you think you can, you are right. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Let's keep our microphones on the mute. Thank you very much. Someone once said that if you think you can, you are right. And if you think you cannot, you are also right. The first time I heard it, it sounded very interesting, that two different alternatives are still right. That if you think you can, you are right. And if you think that you cannot, you are also right. But later, on a deep understanding of that statement, the point was that our entire lives are an attempt to prove something that we believe in. We've seen it in homes, and those days when you're growing up, they will tell you maybe to wash utensils. So you're like, I don't want to. What if the plate breaks and all that? So if you had wanted not to wash, when you're going to wash these plates because you have been forced, you handle it so carelessly so that even if it breaks, you say, but I told you it would break. These are glasses. So, but if you really wanted to do it, you try to prove that this works. So thoughts, what we think about drives our energy every day. If we think that this is what we want to do and it's going to work out, we will want to prove a point that this is it. And if we think that it cannot, then we are also trying to prove a point that what we believed was correct. And I think that's why the issue of thinking, whether it is a positive thought or a negative thought, is also very key. And another thing that I can also say is that everything that is real today, whether it is the Zoom we're using today, or it is the microphones, it is the motorcycles, it's the vehicles, everything you see around you, which is not natural, was a result of thinking. Every major suicide attempt in this life, every other effort of whether there was a corruption case, whether there was terrorism, most of the things that happen in this life are a result of a thought process, meaning that where there are negative thoughts, they lead to negative actions. And where there are positive thoughts, they lead to positive actions. Action is driven by the thought process that has been there. And the last statement that I can also make as an opening bit is that each of us, in a way, is trying to make the world a better place by the way we think, or we are trying to destroy the world by the way we think. And when we are looking at the world, it starts with the world within us, the world deep inside of us. Our choice of what we want to focus on every day is an unconscious decision to destroy ourselves or to build ourselves up. And also an unconscious decision to think negatively is an effort to destroy or to, so in other words, we choose what we want the future to look like by what we decide to focus on in our thoughts. So that, I believe, in a way, gives us insights into why we would think that positive thinking is really a very, very key issue. You may want to actually know that according to statistics in Uganda, many people for whom negative thinking has gone extreme and they have ended up in cycles of depression. In Uganda, out of every 100 people, you have about 4 who have gone, about close to 5 who have gone through the extremes of depression, while you have about 3 who are in extreme anxiety. That means when you pick 100 people, there are almost 10 people who have found themselves in the depths of negative thinking that is really, really, really destroying them. That is leaving aside those who are going through mere stress, the common stress that we deal with every day. And a lot of this also has a link with thoughts. So The question one would ask is, what are those, so our sharing will look at, what are those things that determine, that have a huge influence on whether we end up thinking positively or we end up thinking negatively. And then we will also look at what can be some of those potential remedies, and all of us will be able to also make contributions towards this. So one of the key issues one of the key factors that determines our thought process, whether we are going to think positively or we are going to think negatively, is the past experiences of failure or rejection that we have encountered. And, you know, maybe you had applied for a job many times and you have never been called for an interview. So when you see a new advert and somebody is forwarding it to you,
that's the one people.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We keep the microphones on mute. Thank you very much. Yes, so past experiences of failure or rejection. And I was using this example of if somebody has applied for a job so many times and they have never been shortlisted, or they do interviews and then are never called, the next time somebody is forwarding you an advert and saying, why don't you try this? There is the likelihood of saying, but it has never worked. How sure am I that it's going to work this time? Of course, sometimes this might be that one last attempt and it may work out, but you just never know. But because you feel that you have failed before, you think that you are now destined for failure, and regardless of how much you try, it's not going to work. It could even be issues of relationship. You've dated 1, 2, 3 people, and somehow the relationships just tend to end and tend to end. And so whenever there's an attempt to build something new, you like, I know, I think everyone else is the same. I don't think this is going to work out. Even if this could potentially work out this time around. Another, that means that people who have had negative past experiences are bound to have a negative thought process more than people for whom it has worked out. So if you've been applying for jobs and it's been working out, you've tried a few things there, you tried a business and it worked out, it didn't fail, there tends to be more energy to try new things. You think more positively because some things you have gotten used to winning. Yeah. So in a way, you have gotten used to winning and you don't expect to fail this time. Another common determinant for how we think, whether positively or negatively, is also our family upbringing. And many of us come from, you know, when I was growing up in West Nile, those earlier years, I don't know, maybe the times have changed for those who are doing parenting now. At times you would be in a home where insults are all the time. You know, they send you to do something and before you notice, if you're delaying, they're already insulting your toes, your head, midfarm body, whatever phrases come with it, you know? And so because you have been raised up in such a family environment, surrounded by negativity, you grow up with a similar thinking, even about yourself. That loss of self-esteem, because you think you're not good enough, you have lived in a family where there is so much of this negativity. And it can, sometimes it's not only about you as the children of that home, but sometimes it is also an issue of the kind of relationships with neighbors and this and sometimes we find that there are homes where we are all suspicious of everyone. We never trust anyone. You never allow children never eating at the neighbor's home because you think they are going to get poisoned. Of course, there are these safety issues, but there are homes where this kind of being cautious is so extreme that children grow up, or we grow up with this suspicion. So where instead of looking at humanity as a group of people that are loving, a group of people where we can get support systems in place, we look at everyone as a potential enemy rather than a potential ally. And at times so that forms our thought process in the way that we live our lives. But families that are more open to collaboration with other people, that see other people more as supporters and give their best, tend to raise children who have a more positive outlook of life. Families where children are told, thank you, you did a great job, instead of all the time insulting them or backing at them for what they think they have not done well. In such homes, you find that the children grow up with a more positive outlook of life. And one key thing is that all of us at one moment were children. And so how we were treated at that time has an effect on who we have become today. And the things we are told about neighbors, other people, and opportunities in this life, how you get jobs, all those things have an impact on who we are today. And that means if any of us has children right now, or you closely interact with children, you have to be very careful, or we have to be very careful of the kind of, our choice of words that we bring out, because they may also have a huge, huge power on the way children will grow up thinking about themselves and about other people. And it can create unnecessary fear. Maybe I can tell you a short story of in the mid-90s. By then I was still a little guy. I lived in Yumbe. I still remember that time. And we had a neighbor whom many people were accusing of being a wizard. And they said, I'm very Vinyaki. So the Lugwara people know this common phrase. So people doubted this guy a lot. And on this particular occasion, the person I was staying with had just bought a new goat. So as a little child, it was my job to see that the goat was taken out and, so that it would graze, and then you bring it in the evening. So this particular evening, the goat decides to escape and runs to the home of this man they said was a wizard. And there was this fear in me. I'm supposed to get a goat, because if I don't come home with a goat, I'm going to be in trouble. But if I go for the goat, what if the man who is considered to be a wizard, what if I end up, what if I die? So out of all this intense fear, I eventually decided to go, and I stopped at the entrance to his home. I didn't go far. And I remember the guy knew that we were actually afraid of him. So he sends his son to bring the goat. But what I can tell you is that I had headache the whole of that evening. And I remember telling people at home that if I don't wake up tomorrow, you know that I picked the goat from so and so's home. And so sometimes this kind of impressions in homes about who neighbors can be like, and all these assumptions of the kind of relationships that exist within and outside can have a huge power on how we think. And they can even go as far as destroying us. In my case, I had headache, which ideally was out of fear. So also another key determinant of whether we think positively or negatively is social networks that we maintain. Who are those people that you relate with most of the time? Who are those friends that you spend most of your time with? Because if we spend more time with people who are positive minded, they make us to start thinking in a more positive way. Thought process we start to have. Whenever you're thinking of something positive and you're even mentioning how you want to apply for this job and you're going to get this and that, somebody is quickly rushing to mention to you that what makes you think you're even going to get that job? Those people already have their connections. They have already shortlisted their own people. You'll just waste your time. And within you, you start to think and say, I think the guy has a point. I think the lady has a point. But if you are interacting with people, those whose microphones are on, please help us. Otherwise, I'm finding difficult concentrating. Yes, if your microphone is on, please help us turn it off. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, thank you. So if we interact with people who really have a positive outlook of life, and you're telling them about things that you want to do, a business that you want to start, a relationship that you want to build, a job that you want to apply for, they are going to be more encouraging, and they tell you how you can go about it. The problem, and so from that, it reinforces a positive thinking process within you. But if we have a network of people who are always discouraging, who are always negative, the best they do is to tell you what doesn't work, but they'll not tell you what works. Instead of telling you how you can make it work better, they simply tell you, you don't just waste your time. And so that means it is up to us to check the kind of network that we have. Also, another key driver of the state of finances is another key driver for positive or negative thinking is the state of finances. There are two leading causes of negative thinking and quarrels. One is hunger, the other is money. When we don't have a job, when you don't have a source of income, there is a risk of it trying to destroy a lot of possibilities that you have within yourself or what you want to. When you're thinking about starting a new business, it hits you, where am I going to get the money? I don't have it. Yeah. Some microphones are on. Some microphones are on. Yes. Maybe the host can help us keep everyone on mute. It will really, really help. Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Yes. So I was talking about the state of finances, how usually when we are financially constrained, it is very, very difficult to think very positively, because most of the things that you want to do, you find that you end up you're asking yourself, okay, so where am I going to get the money? You want to explain the opportunity, and then it hits you that, I actually need money to do this. You are not sure of where your next meal is going to be. You're not sure how you're going to pay your next rent. So the temptation to go through a negative thought process is very high. But on the contrary, when people tend to be financially stable, they have less worries. They have a more positive outlook of life because you see things working. Even when we have challenges with finances, we start to see people who are enjoying their own money, we start to think that they're showing off. Saying, now some people think that they have things. But the only issue is that we don't have it. So once we have money, we are less envious and we are less understanding of the lifestyle of other people. We try to be more supportive to our families, and we are also able to build our dreams with ease. And so to continuously explore opportunities of creating employment scenarios for ourselves or looking for jobs is one step out of a negative thought process, because when it works, you start to think differently. Then there is another common driver that we could also look at, what actually determines the state of positive thinking or negative thinking is hunger. Let's talk about food. It may sound so funny, but it is one key issue. Most of us may have noticed that when we are hungry, the kind of things we think about are very different. But once we have eaten, it's also a very different scenario. We are more positive about life. Even when somebody is talking to you and it seems to be something annoying, you are more accommodative. But imagine when somebody is bringing a complaint to you at around lunchtime and you haven't eaten. Often there is this rude kind of response. That's why they say a person who is hungry is a person who is likely to be angry. And they say that more than about 80% of quarrels would not have happened if people went into those conversations after they had eaten food. So what does it mean? That when there are very important issues that we really want to think through, key decisions that we want to make, and we want to give people positive feedback, about the things that they are trying to discuss with us, it is important to go when you have eaten. This may sound funny, but it is really, really key. We are more productive and we are more supportive. We are more logical when we are not hungry. Maybe the last for now I can talk of on that list is idleness. Once we find ourselves in this state where we are just alone, we don't have, maybe you are not busy, you are not doing any work, you are seated at home all the time, there is likely to be a high level of negative thinking as compared to positive thinking. That's why commonly for people who may not have a job, you've been trying this and that and it's not worked, you're always home, this and that, people start to lose self-esteem. And also once you're idle, then a lot of, you're giving your brain too much space to really think. And it will shift from one issue to another. And when you start remembering all the past failures you've had, you're remembering the situations where things did not work out the way you wanted, it makes you feel even more, it makes you feel more sad. And so instead of looking at the positive, you start to look more on the negative. So common effects of negative thinking. Of course, positive thinking brings a lot of great results for most of us. It is very obvious. You are able to apply for bigger opportunities that many people would ideally be afraid of, but we'll dwell on that towards the end. But I want to look at some of those common consequences of negative thoughts. Some I already mentioned. You start to be afraid of trying new big opportunities because you think that you're not good enough. When they send you an advert and say, oh, you apply for this, you are always looking for the smallest position they have advertised because you think that's the only area where you stand a chance. You never see your value for the way it is. Your brain starts to replay all the negativity that people had said towards you in the previous years. Maybe somebody once told you, you are not going to amount to anything, you are dull, you cannot do this and that. And every other time you seem to have failed at something, you're like, oh, I think they were right when they said that I can't do this and I can't do the other, I can't do the other. So one would then ask, if these are key determinants of whether we think positively or negatively, what do we really need to do? How can we emerge out of this? How can we focus our energies in a more positive way so that we have a more positive thought process? So there are a few things that I thought that I could also share with you. In my opinion, the first major thing is to deliberately decide that you really want to make a change. Nothing happens in this life until you reach a point where you decide that this is what I want. All effort that we make is linked to a decision. And so the first thing is to decide that I want to have a more positive outlook of life. And once you decide that you want to have a more positive outlook of life, you start to be very deliberate. Whenever there's any negative thought process coming, you find a way of looking at the positive side of it. And you find a way of keeping yourself busy. You find a way of encouraging others. And it keeps on building like that. And the other second suggestion that I have is you need to make peace with your past. Most of us, if not all of us, have failed at something. It's either a relationship where you thought it was going to work, possibly you even introduced the person at home, all relatives knew this is the person you're going to marry, and it didn't work out. And now you are having with all this pressure when you're walking on the streets, you have to explain to people what happened because they're asking you, how is your fiancé? And many of them do not know that you are not together. And you're dealing with this constant reminder of a relationship that did not work out, or a job that you didn't get. You thought you did everything possible, or they even advertised your position when you're still working, or you lost money, you invested in a business that went bad. or you are not able to excel in your exams. So each of us has dealt with a certain kind of failure in one or the other. And so to move forward, we have to make peace with such, to accept that this is something that has happened, and we cannot keep bringing it up again and again. Even for people who are in relationships, it's something you have to still make peace with. Maybe once you had a misunderstanding with a person, and you cannot keep bringing it up to their face repeatedly. You have to make peace with that. And once you have not made peace with it, it's going to continuously try to destroy you. So that means you have to sit down. And if it means picking a notebook and writing down the different things that you are upset with, the things that you haven't forgiven yourself for, that you haven't forgiven other people for. And if it means talking to another person, you need to find a way of making peace with it. Because if you don't confront it, it is going to keep coming again, and that thought process will keep flowing and flowing. And before you notice it, depression will take over. And if you want to know whether depression is close or not, these are some of those indicators. Either you start eating too little or you start eating too much. For some people, you start watching TV. Your eyes are there, but you're actually not watching the pictures. You don't know what is actually happening. You cannot narrate the story. You sleep during day when others are awake, and in the night, for you, you are awake. You are seated in the sitting room, and you don't know what you're doing. You are afraid of walking out there. You're spending so much of your time indoors. Or you go in a direction of a certain addiction. For others, you're going the direction of alcohol because you think that's where you're going to find remedy. Other people go in the extremes of smoking. Others simply isolate themselves. Others start to have multiple relationships because you think the one where you should have been valued, you're not. In many ways, once you see yourself on that path, it is very important to know that your thought process has taken a totally different direction, and you need to take so many steps back to the right place. And you have to make peace with yourself so that you're not coping through the wrong mechanisms, but you're trying to address this. There are people who meet me and try to talk to me about some challenges that they are going through. And so somebody, on one occasion, someone was crying, and I told her, you cry until you think it's okay, because right now, if you don't cry, this is going to come up again. So my first recommendation, since she was really crying, I gave her that space to cry and say, you need to cry. And once you feel you have cried enough, then let's have a conversation. But you have the next 15 minutes just to cry. So we have to face our pain. And once we face our pain, our thoughts start to change. We start to have a more positive outlook because we have reconciled with our past. Another suggestion I have for you, also for all of us, is to take time to celebrate our success. Because behind everything you consider failure, there is an unknown success. And success is a sum of little efforts that you have made. You may have looked at how you didn't get a job, but along that process, there is a lot of success that you're able to register. Maybe you didn't know how to write a good cover letter. This job opportunity gave you a chance to practice how to write a good cover letter. You're able to work on your CV. Those are steps to celebrate, because maybe the next time you see another advert, it will find you more prepared. So to be able to pick the positive lessons from even what seemed like a failure is very key. Someone's microphone is on. Someone's microphone is on. Okay. Yes, thank you. Yes. And so it is important to take time to celebrate your successes, because you have come from far. And I also, there was a time one of my friends got an accident, and we took him to the hospital so that they would dress his wound. And when we reached the hospital, we we found there were many other cases of accidents, and there was somebody who broke his leg, and there was just, it was part of the flesh was just like a thread holding it, and the lower part was almost falling off. And on recognizing that, we're like, actually, our situation is not that terrible. So in addition to celebrating our successes, the things that we have been able to achieve, even where there seems to have been perceived failure, it's also important to look at okay. It is also very important to look at how other people are and recognize that out there, there are many people who are dealing with a lot of other challenges of their own. While you are crying because you don't have shoes, there's somebody who is looking for legs. While you are crying because you have missed out on a job opportunity, which was going to be a promotion, there's somebody who for the past 5 years since their graduation, they have never got a job. And so to look at ourselves and recognize that, wow, I've achieved something is very, very key. It will give you a lot of peace. And the greatest driver of stress is our lack of appreciation for already what we have. It is not about the things we have not got, but it is our failure to recognize what we have already achieved. And we need to know that every other time we achieve something, we will want more. And once we start looking at life positively, we will live happier. Maybe for most of us who already have jobs, when you got your first job, maybe they're paying you 300,000. And now after you thought if they increased to 500, everything would be sorted. So they pushed you to 500, they pushed you to 1 million. Maybe right now you get 1.5 or 2 million. How is it working for you? Possibly you still feel that right now, if they doubled your pay, it would be the solution. And so we have to recognize that we must reach a point where we say, oh God, thank you for what I have. And even when I work for growth, I will still be grateful for where I am at this moment. And another thing that I would also suggest is review your networks. Because we say that one of the determinants is the people that we associate with. You need to ask yourself, the top five people I spend most of my time with, what kind of energy do they radiate? Are these people who encourage me when I have something great I want to do? Or are they the ones who are always talking negatively? You need to review that. So like if you're in a relationship and your relationship is not working, and then you decide to go and look for advice from a person who says all men are dogs, or who says all women are bad, then you know the kind of advice you're going to get. It's going to be negative. So that means that you have to identify, review your networks and seek help from people who you know have a positive mindset. And as they journey with you, you're able to look at life in a more positive way. And that starts to influence the way you think, because you're like, oh, so-and-so has done it. I like their advice. Most of us are a product of the conversations that we hold with people. And so you have to check your conversations, because that is what is registered in the brain. Most of us, when we are children, you remember that in a particular evening, if they told you stories about wizards, they told you stories about witches, monsters and all that, that night you dream and things would be chasing you, this and that. Whatever conversations happen, they get recorded within our memory, within our system, and they start to influence how we think and how we act out. The difference is that when we grow older, we may not have nightmares like that, but these things reflect in the activities that we do, the amount of energy that we push out there. And the other suggestion that I would also make is that set clear goals on how you want to develop certain things, how you want to journey from where you are to the next. not only to say this is where I want to be, but also define a path. Maybe I want to maybe start a business. And so how are you going to go there? Maybe I want to build a house. I want to buy a plot of land. What are those little activities, steps that I have to? When we focus on a big goal without breaking it into smaller units, we think that we have failed, because we will always look at that long term and be like, oh, I haven't done that. But if you've broken this goal of buying yourself a plot of land to saving, let's say 100,000 every month, and you say this is a 2-year project, I'm going to save maybe 200, 300 a month, you will start to celebrate all these little efforts. So you are not focused on finding 5, 10 million at once to go and get what you need. So you are able to set goals and break this into smaller units. And every little unit you achieve, you celebrate. It gives you energy to go to the next level. And the other bit is also to, as much as possible, avoid being idle, because whenever you're idle, you are giving your brain a lot of room to think negatively. That's when you're focusing on a lot of your challenges and all that. And so that means that you need to have a set of friends that you know you can always spend positive quality time with, people with whom you can talk nicely. Another bit is also social media has a lot of opportunities. On Facebook, there are many people who are positive speakers. They speak to inspire. And so to be able to listen to them, to be able to read books that build your mindset is really, really, really great. A lot of what I do, I read a lot. I also listen to other people who speak. And every other time I listen to somebody who has spoken positively, at least I'm guaranteed that for the next hour or few hours or the whole of that day, I have something positive to have in my mind. So you can create a routine that every morning there's something positive that you'll be thinking about, you'll be reflecting on. You will maybe you are watching a given video series, or there's a book that you're reading, and it always gives you something to focus on. So the last bit on this that I want to make is that our minds are like an organization. So in an organization, you have different departments. Maybe you have the department for finance and administration. You have the department for programs and all this. And whenever we have a negative thought, so let's say one department is for negativity, the other department is for positivity. So whenever you have a positive thought, it awakens the head of department from the positive side and says, hello, foreman, hello, boss. The boss is right now not in a good mood. So when you have a negative thought, the negative faculty is going to say the boss is not in a good mood. Let all of us go on a low morale. It's just like at the place of work, when you know the boss is upset, you don't laugh the same way. So you'll be like, we don't have to.
Yes,
not be able to do all these great things. And finally, also on the side of when you're thinking positively, the side of your mind that promotes positivity will tell the rest of your body parts that the guy is in a good mood. Let's go out there, let's work, and let's do this and that. So I want to wish you the very best. And I think I should stop here and give us the opportunity to make comments so that we can actually share more broadly. Yes, back to you, Becca.
All right, thank you so much, Robert, for that elaborate presentation that you have given for us. I know we have taken note of things that he has discussed with us, a number of things that has been spoken, and for me, I've been keen on taking notes something that I should let you know is that what we think drives our energy. That is one key thing that I have learned in this very session. And that means that if you think about negative things, come on, your energy will be all negative. Then he also brought in something that action is driven by the thought progress. So that means that if you don't think, you cannot act. But once you think, you will act. But what do you think? That's something that you should take note of. And as I am trying to go through this, if you have any comment, any question, kindly go to the reactions and raise up your hand, and I will choose you. And if your mic is on, I advise that you kindly mute it so that we can all be in one accord. I'm hearing somebody laughing at the background. I think your mic is still on. Help us put it on mute. And something that you need to know, he has also given for us areas which are affecting how we think, maybe positively or else negatively. One thing that you should not forget is that it is our past experiences, maybe our past experience of failure, which can make one to either think positively or else negatively. Then another thing that he also emphasized on was the family upbringing. How were you brought up? Yes. So you should take note of that. I'm sure you also took note of them. Then also social network that you maintain. Whom do you stay with? Who is your friend? You know, there's this saying that show me your friend and I tell you who you are. So if your friend is somebody who is not there, you see, you just behave like your friend. Then state of finance, hunger. Somebody put it down here on the comment box that hunger is underrated. So it left me laughing. Hunger is something, by the way, when you are hungry, I tell you, the way you think, you'll just be annoyed. And so what do you say right now to the kids that you live with, to the children that you stay around with? What message do you tell them? Do you tell them, wow, what you've done is good, or is what you've done is wrong, or else you just leave it? You say, you're fake. Like as we mostly say that, you see, those are the things which may shut down a kid who is trying to come up. And just to summarize what I took note of here, so that I give chance for people to give in their comments and their questions to you. Some common effects of negative thinking you gave for us, and one key thing is that it will make you afraid of trying bigger opportunities. I think this one got me too deep. At times I don't want to apply for positions, still in my level, still in my level, because I think I'm still there. I'm not yet experienced for the other one of a specialist, maybe of a consultant, of an associate, but this think it comes back to my thinking. So today you have handled it very well, making peace with our past. Then you also told us about effects of depression. Celebrate your success. Anything small that you have achieved. Come on, organize a cake cutting. Patience is here. Makes cakes. Hey, you call Patience. Patience, come on. I have to celebrate this. I know there are some people after. I know a friend who was celebrating every monthly anniversary of their relationship. Hey, we have made 2 months in this relationship. Wow, cake cutting. What? So celebrate everything. Your mind will be clear. So those are the few things that I really took note of. There are others, but I don't need to overspeak alone. I want to give chance for the 38 participants who are here listening to us. Our number went up to 42, 43. It keeps on changing because some people are texting me directly that they have issues with their networks, what. So I'm waiting for that one person to raise up their hand, and I give you the opportunity to see. Maybe you have a question that Mr. Norbert has not handled it in his process of presentation. You want to ask it. Come on, just go to the area of reaction, and then you raise up your hand, and I'll choose you. If you're struggling where reaction is, you can drop it on the comment box. I will read it. I've not seen any hand up. I'm sure people are still trying to raise up your hand. As I wait for that, allow me go through some of the messages that we have here in the chat box. somebody was just trying to emphasize on what you have said. One here is from Abako Gilbert, that I love this. Take time to enjoy your success. Then some key thing that I have seen here is, wow, my cursor has disappointed me. It has gone somewhere. Sorry. Another one here is that Belinda is saying that you should review your social network. This is very important. Ombaya Stella is here putting up that appreciate what you have. Then Abako Gilbert saying that someone may be there crying because while you are there crying because you don't have a pair of shoes, somebody is crying because he's having no legs. So please just be grateful for what you have. Then Patience is saying that set clear goals, define a path, a lot of things. There's other Patience. Corinne is saying that it's always important for one to have great listening skills. I have realized that once you speak, it's about what you know, but but when you listen, you learn something new. Whitney is saying that I have actually taken note of all. Thank you a lot, Master. Saul is saying that, well, most times we find ourselves acting in accordance to the environment around us, the people we are dealing with. So that is what this main man is saying, that he's a diocesan youth leader. Come on, thanks, Paul, for this great one. Paul is saying that, wow, he's appreciating us that, hey man, you people are doing so great. Keep it up. It's good. It's great attending this fellowship. Thank you. We also want to learn from your side too. So I think that is those are the few messages that I have here, Lega Joe. And thank you very much for the brilliant ideas and this good message to the youth. I have been following. I appreciate. So those are some of the key things here. Let me get to the participants. Any question you have, or if you are raising up your hand, can you just unmute yourself and you talk? Maybe some people are looking for the thing I'm saying, that raise up your hand. Then let me check around on chat box if there's any hand up. Oh, I'm not seeing any hand up here. Somebody is on. Go on.
Belinda's hand is up.
Okay, Belinda, I've seen your hand. Come on, speak up.
Okay, thank you so much, Becca, the moderator. Thanks so much, our presenter, for tonight's program. It's really something very amazing today that we have started from. I hope you guys can hear me. Becca, you can confirm that?
Yes, I can hear me. Sorry, I can hear you. The person using Techno Spark 4, please help us mute yourself. Alamugu, welcome, and you can mute yourself too. Thank you. Just keep on the video for us to see you. Okay, Belinda, go on.
All right. Thank you so much, Becca. I just want to, mine is not really a question, but just a comment. I just want to give my personal experience of, how I keep a positive mind in my everyday life. First of all, where I work, the nature of my work is in a way that I get to face different people, different categories of people every day. You meet humble people, you meet those ones who are really, very bitter. You meet those people who are always happy. You meet people who you cannot really contain in life. That's my nature of work. And I love it because I get to learn so much about people. I get to study people in my nature of work. So I know that every day when I go for work, I might come across a person who is maybe so bitter and can maybe end up my day in a very bad way. So to keep a very positive mind whenever I go for work, I make sure that when I reach office, at my duty station, before I can even begin work, I speak to myself. I speak to my inner being. I'm like, God is with me. That is the first thing. And then I speak to myself and I'm like, I am a winner. I know I can really do this. I know this is going to be a good day. So that alone, speaking to myself for about a minute or 2 minutes, encourages me. So that any challenge that I'm going to face during the day, whether it comes from fellow customers or from my fellow workmates, I know I am going to overcome that. So sometimes speaking to your mind, speaking to your soul, speaking to your inner being is really something very important that we need to maintain in order to have a positive mindset. Without that, we can become so emotional and, you know, we end up somewhere else where we are not really supposed to be. Thank you. I think that's enough for now. We'll share more as we go on.
Thank you very much. Belinda, I've seen the hand of Adaku Rasul out. Come on, you can unmute and speak up. Yes, Rasul? Your hand is up.
Oh, sorry, I think there was a mistake. Sorry, this is Wakida. I'm sorry, really.
Okay, it's okay. All right, Wakida. Yes, James Opio, your mic is on. Persons, you can unmute and talk.
Thank you, Ka, for Ganaras. I'm grateful, and maybe it's a compliment is, okay, like how I've also managed to deal with the negativity and stay on a positive feed is knowing that's who you are, finding something positive about yourself, even when the most negative thing hits you, you always have something to cling on. Even when you feel you're failing at office, you'll be like, oh no, I'm better at singing at church. And you cling on to that to help you go through that kind of negative mind that you are having. So yeah, find something nice that you can cling on to help you go through the negative things that come your way. And then also, we are Christians, and this is automatic, like believing in God. What does God say about you? If your mind starts saying, hey, you are a failure, what does God say about you? So yeah, some of those things have helped me with the positive thinking journey. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Nobody keep taking note. I will be requesting you to comment on these things later on. Just take note. Paul, your hand is up. Yes, go on. Paul Reyes Geno. I hope that is the right pronunciation of your name. Are you finding it hard to unmute your mic? Okay.
Okay, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
All right. My name is Paul. The rest can be hard to pronounce, but I'm so glad to be a part of this fellowship. I do serve here in a Kampala diocese, but I enjoy following up things happening up country. Now, my input about what has been shared, if we can just run to our Bibles, Philippians, in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verses 8, the Bible talks about.
Sorry, Paul, we are losing you. Network, we are losing you. Maybe network issues, we are losing you. Try to reconnect and get back. We stopped at Philippians 4, verse 8. That is the last thing that we heard from you, Paul.
Hello, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, someone called my phone and it blacked out. Yeah,
Oh,
so
sorry.
I was saying, when we go to Philippians chapter 4, verses 8, Paul is giving us there the power of positivity. Paul is encouraging us, and he says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, and he says, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And I think this for me is in line with what has been shared, that as Paul was suffering, as Paul was struggling in the prison, he still had to encourage these people that if you're to read chapter 4 of Philippians, Paul is encouraging the people in here. And he says to them in verse 6, do not be anxious about anything. Then when he reaches verses 8, says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, you mark the word there, true. And the question is, how true is it true? He says, whatever is honorable, what is honorable to you? And he says, whatever is pure.
Sorry,
What
network.
do you call pure? What do you call lovely? Yes?
Yeah, we're getting you now.
Yes, so I was just saying that Paul is giving us here a reason to think positive, a reason to be positive in life, but he says what should make us positive in life should be things that are true and true to the word of God, not true to ourselves as human beings. And then he says, whatever is honorable, the honorable things we celebrate. Yes, we can celebrate our jobs, we can celebrate our achievements in life. Those are honorable things as long as they are honorable before the eyes of the Lord as well. And says whatever is just. So whatever we celebrate, whatever we are thinking positive about should be just before God and before men. And then the other thing says whatever is pure. We all know that purity comes from the word holiness. And so Paul is telling us whatever is pure, that is not defiled, we need to celebrate these things. We need to be positive about these things and jubilate about them. And says whatever is lovely. I know when we mention the word lovely, people get excited and so on. But whatever is lovely, as Paul describes love in Corinthians 13. So whatever is lovely in that line, that is not jealous, that is not puffed up by anger and all that, whatever is lovely, think about them. Whatever is commendable by your friends, by the society, and says, if there is any excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice them. So positivity is good. Only if we are going to be positive about the things that are pleasing before our God. And for you to celebrate something positive before our God, you must be somebody who is saved by the grace of God through Jesus Christ alone. And you must be reading the word of God. Amen. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Paul, for that elaboration on Philippians 4:8, bringing the Bible perspective of this discussion that we are having. Thank you so much. Banyo Luigi, who is our keynote speaker, is taking note of all these things. I have seen 2 hands up. I'm going to take about 3, then I'll give chance for Mr. Norbert to have a comment on them. Then I also take another hand. Let me begin with Caesar. Then after that, Lekru Grace will follow. Caesar, you are on.
Wow. Thank you very much. I'm back to field there. Thank you. I hope my network is okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm getting you well.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to pick from Paul where he stopped and affirm that I'm in full agreement with what you have said. In that regard, as we look at positive thinking, I want us to look at it from the author of positive things. That is God, isn't it? Yes. So I think I'm telling you, if our positive thinking will just be determined by whether we have jobs, whether we have this and that, you realize that there are people who have all these things, but they are still negative. They are still having negative thinking. So you realize that positive thinking is not necessarily based on things you have. There are people who are working, they have huge money in their accounts, but they are still negative. They still have no peace. And there are people who maybe some of us are feeling negative about relationships, we have struggled, and maybe some are stressed about who do I marry, or some are wondering when do I marry and all that, they are stressed. But there are also people who are married. They have everything, they have money, but yet they still negative thoughts in that marriage. Then you realize that positive thinking is not basically related to having things, that maybe because you have things, you will now start thinking positive. Maybe to somebody who is lacking, the positive thinking for that person the version may be, if somebody is hungry, this person, you cannot go to them and say maybe God loves you, and you make that as a solution to this person. You realize that maybe that can be a long-term solution, but a short-term solution will be coming with some food and give to this person and they eat. And trust me, next time they will also need another food. And once they don't get, they will start still thinking negative. When they get another one, then maybe some of you were negative about work until you go to work. But still, you are still having a negative thoughts, even when you now have work. But so you realize that satisfaction in this world can never end unless the satisfaction is in something which is not perishable. So these jobs, homes, cars, houses, and all these achievements, we can celebrate them, but they may give us positive, okay, they are a way to build a positive thinking, but the foundation of it all is God. Praise the Lord. It is God. Otherwise, for me, I think I also had a lot of things, negative thoughts from my childhood. I grew up and I think I gave tough time to my parents, and they could wonder whether I would study, and all the change came from transformation through God himself. I will tell you that you can have all these things, but still, that's why you will see somebody, he has everything, but he commits suicide. We wonder, this person of all people is committing suicide. Why? Because, so you realize it is beyond. So I think what I will say, as we think through these things, we realize that we need somebody to help us. And that person can live with you and make you have an ending positive thinking. And that's why there's a difference between, it's so funny that even as believers, we can have negative thinking, but I think it comes from a place of growth. So as you grow, you realize your thinking will change. I mean, your growth spiritually. You realize somebody who has grown spiritually is going to have positive thinking because his hope is in something else. His hope is in God, and and God satisfy it, and it is long lasting. It is everlasting. That is what. So we want an everlasting thing that will sustain you in your time in earth. Thank you very much. That's why the Bible says, what will it cost us if we gain everything in this world, including these things we cry for, but we lose our soul? I don't think it will do anything. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Caesar, for that input that you have given for us. Before I bring on Grace Lekoro, a message here from the chat box. I feel it's also good when you hang around with people other than being on social media and television. Always you realize a lot about life is learned outside, not really in television. And the guy using Techno Pop 2, I don't know your name, but you're saying, yeah, it's true to me. To know the kind of friends we stay with matters a lot. And then a person is adding that little button open up a way for us. Then Angela Michael is saying that he's just appreciating everyone. Then Elizabeth Bakoko is saying that knowing your circle of friends and staying positive under all circumstances keeps you winning at all times. Above all, I think be true. Yeah, be true to yourself. And then Malamugu is saying that he's sorry for joining late. What then? Charity, Abiko, to me, being positive starts right within yourself. How do you take yourself? How do you feel about others? Most times we are drawn by those things. A lot of messages coming here. I'll keep on reading them. Then before I finish these 6 new messages, but please, I will do this, but just be in mind that our next Youth on Alert talk will be on 10th of October, because this talk we have it monthly basis. Grace Lekro, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I don't know whether the members are getting me. Becca, are you getting me, the moderator?
Yes, I'm getting you, Grace.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. I must acknowledge that I appreciate this program so much, especially about the topic of today. I must appreciate the speaker and also moderator for all the interview and the support you've given us. When you look at you see this topic as you've said, positive thinking. The positive thinking, according to me, I'll just say it's connected with the mindset. In everything you do in this world, if you have that positive mindset, definitely you have a way through. So the positive thinking, most of our colleagues have talked about, the speaker elaborated more about it, but I must say that if you have a positive mindset in this world, you'll be able to achieve what you're supposed to do. As earlier on mentioned, there's some words which touched me about the speaker talked about bringing up or staying up with children. In this world, sometimes you may think that you're doing the right thing to children or a child, but to know that what you're doing is right or wrong. So I've really learned a lot, and I must say that this should not be the last, and it should not be the beginning of such kind of session. It is really helpful, especially for youth. And also, in life, you need to be also. There are some people who fake ideology, they fake their lives of living. But if you're real, and if you really believe that you are thinking right and you're doing what is right, this topic today, which we discussed, will always guide us in it. Above all, the connectivity with the positive thinking will also take me to something we should call forgiveness. In most cases, we have, yes, speaker talked about it prior, that we have both negative and positive thinking. In most cases, we err. We are human. We are not perfect in this world. So if somebody hurts you, in order to forgive that person, sometimes you come up with that negative attitude or negative thinking that why would I go ahead to forgive this person? You know, in such a way that now devil will enter into you and you start thinking, if this person has wronged me in such a manner, why am I going ahead to forgive this person? So in all, if you know why you're forgiving this person, if you know the value or the blessings or the value of forgiveness, regardless of what this person has done to you, you will always forgive this person and see yourself successful. So once more, I thank you, the moderator and the speaker, for this session of today. And I want to appreciate everyone who have joined it. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Grace Lecro, for that comment that you have given for us. Indeed, it all depends on yourself if you want to think positively. If it doesn't start with you, I tell you, it's gonna be hard. That's why our speaker made a point that in order for you to change your mind to think positively, you have to take a deliberate step, like a deliberate effort to say that, yes, from this time around, I want to do this. Because if you don't take it, I tell you, it will never happen. Just like how people normally talk about marriage, that if you say that, yes, I'll marry after this, I'll marry after this, but if you don't take a deliberate step in faith, my friend, you will not succeed in doing that. Before I take some hands, allow me go through some inputs that some guys have placed here on here via chat. Somebody is saying that do not do things because others expect you to do things because of the will you have, but do things because of the will you have and put in God first. And then somebody here is saying that also it's also important to understand different personalities of people, because sometimes you can be blamed or blamed somebody. So another one here from Michael saying that comparing ourselves with others is a great source of negative thinking. Therefore, celebrate the little things you have in your life. From this one saying that I'm so grateful for this meeting because I was at verge of giving up on something, but I now have a reason to give it a second chance. No, but you have something to thank God for here. Somebody has changed his mind after your presentation. Then celebrate the small things today, because tomorrow you will realize there were greater things. So those are some of the few messages here from Thomas. Parents play a role too, because sometimes there be negative ideas to the youth. So those are some of the things which we are having here. Keep them coming. I will also do it. From Malamungu, this is all the way from Southern Sudan. Positive thinking to me is all about thinking big in a way that pleases God. It shouldn't be taken on the aspect of pride, but being contented and being contented with what you have. That is from Malamungu. Wakida said that for me, positive thinking begins with believing in yourself, believing that you are going to achieve. Hey, wow, I love this. Thank you so much for those messages, and keep them dropping here. Let me give some for somebody also to give something up here. You can raise your hands. We have about 37 minutes to close up the whole discussion. Just a reminder that this discussion is being spearheaded by St. Philip's Youth Department in partnership with the Great Family. And the Youth Department of St. Philip's is a big body, and we are under the emblem of Church of Uganda. And also we are under the emblem of that is our own vicar of the church. And they have given for us the permission to do this online discussion. So feel free to share anything. And it is not only restricted to that is St. Philip's Church. That's why you see members across. I have friends from Germany who have joined. I have friends from Kampala. I have Jock from all the way from South Africa. He's also here, part of this. That means it's a broad thing that we are all discussing. So we are all aiming at developing the growth of the youth in this world, even where you live. Because if we don't develop now, there'll be no time. Your youthfulness will be something that you will regret. Let me take a few hands before I bring on Norbert to give his closing remarks, and we sum up the evening. I'm not seeing any questions, any inquiries being made here. This tells me that we were really attentive. We really knew what we were doing. Thank you so much. But if you still have something there that you didn't understand well about positive thinking, you can put it across. You can go to reactions, raise up that hand, and we keep it rolling. Yes, Gilbert, before Norbert comes on, do you have something to put across? Aya, Gilbert, I'm seeing your microphone on. Oh, I think it was maybe a mistake, but you can come on, Norbert, with some few comments regarding what your active guys have presented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's really been a fulfilling moment to share. And I agree with all the comments that came. And I deliberately decided to leave aside the Christian perspective because I knew it would come. And I want to take this time to talk about it. And I'm also glad that some people actually talked about it. So from a Christian perspective, this is what I want to put forward. That if we remember from the Bible story of creation, that he had created to go and multiply and fill the earth. And fill the earth in many ways, not only with human beings, but like make it a better place, like create something new. And so much of that we see every day today. Like I was giving an example from the Zoom we're able to use as a medium of communication. This is somebody's invention. From the vehicles that we use, the so much that exists around is because somebody thought about it and then they went ahead and did something about it. But then we also have the other group that didn't think about it. And so they didn't do anything about it. Or others thought about it and said, this is not possible. And as a result, whatever possible inventions would have been from their perspective did not come to life. Every single day God gives us to be alive. Every other day you wake up, you need to know that God has confidence in you. And he thinks that there is unfinished business that he still has with you in this life. Just think about, we are right now about 7 billion people in the world. God goes ahead and creates you. He creates me. Why? Just to come into a world to think negatively and do nothing about it? So whenever first of all, our being created means that there's something unique we can contribute. And we said that we're only able to make a contribution when we think about it. So it all starts from a thought process. And so whenever we wake up every day, it is a new chance. It is God saying, you know what, I believe in you. And I know that today when you go out there, you're going to do amazing things. You're going to believe in yourself and you are going to make the world a better place by the little actions that you will take. So, and I want to also comment on something someone said, that it's nice when you spend more time with real people than on social media. One thing also to reinforce there is that people out there are showing what they think is nice for the world to see, and there is a lot that they are not telling us about. You will not know that they have dealt with a heartbreak. You'll not know that actually they slept hungry the other day, but they'll post pictures from an expensive hotel they took a month ago, and you start to look at yourself and you're like, I think it is others making it, and for me, I'm not. So people are sharing a filtered version of themselves, and that should not be our measure of comparison to say, oh, I think I'm the one who hasn't, and everyone else is doing really much better. And then it starts to enforce negative thoughts. There was also another comment somebody made about going to their place of work. I think that was Belinda. And sometimes having this positive outlook, because you know that you're going to deal with different kinds of people. One thing that is constant is you. But one thing that is changing is the kind of people you're going to keep meeting. You're going to a place of work and you're going to meet somebody who has a negative mindset. They're going to say things that are not nice to you. Either somebody quarreled with a husband the previous night or they slept hungry. Everyone is dealing with something here and there. And so that means our state of mind and our peace, our progress is tied to the personal decisions we make rather than what people do to us or not do to us. Because out there, you're going to find people that are kind of set to upset you, or unknowingly they are upsetting you. It changes from one place to another, whether it is work or you're walking on the road, you end up at the bank and you're lining up and somebody jumps in front of you. There are so many scenarios that are bound to upset. But also, by understanding the thought process, we are also able to say that we see beyond somebody's behavior and we try to ask ourselves, why possibly could this be? And sometimes you get to realize, oh, maybe somebody has an issue that they are dealing with that I don't know. So it could also make us practice more empathy when we try to be keen and rather than being judgmental, we begin to be more supportive and we could help some people also come out of what they're dealing with. Somebody talked about knowing your worth. And I want to reemphasize this, that you need to, somebody said that you need to know what you're good at. If you don't know what you're good at, if you don't know your value, the world is going to throw anything at you. If the world will shatter your confidence, they'll say this is this, you are not competent, you're not doing this well, this and this. You need to evaluate your skills. You need to evaluate your strengths and say that when it comes to this area, I know I am good at it. When it comes to social media marketing, I know that's my strength, and so nobody can put me down on that. If it's writing project proposals, if it's playing football, if it is talking to inspire, you need to know what you are good at. And as an individual, I know that my calling is to inspire. and there's no one who can put me down on it. You need to identify something about you that gives you a sense of confidence and pride, and don't let the world pull you down, because there is value within you. If not, God would not have created you in this life, because he wanted it to be a better world. Putting you into it is his effort to try to make you contribute to it being a better world. And another comment here. Yes, your own peace, your own state of happiness, your own mindset, like I said, is more determined by what you choose yourself rather than the things that happen around you. And you need to take more charge of this. And as you go out there beyond this day and reflect on what we have shared today, key action points for us are: think about your thought process. How far has it taken you? And what have you achieved by worrying? What have you achieved by believing? If you worry, you will die. If you don't worry, you will die. But you get to choose how you want that to go. You can decide that you want to enjoy the life that you have when you're still here and do something positive. And finally, live a life and keep asking yourself, if someday I died, at my funeral, what phrases do I want people to say? Will they say, at last, that guy who never has had anything positive to say has gone? Or do you want people to say, oh, he was an encourager. He was a person who helped us believe in something. He was a person who made sure that we did not give up. Because there are scenarios where there is extreme negativity. Somebody even joked and said that some people, if they were there during the time of Jesus, they would have even complained that the bread Peter brought for the Last Supper, that no, this was too hard, it should have been softer. This was, no, I think the wine is too watery, it should have been this. There are people who still find something negative about everything positive. So each of us gets to choose what influence we want to have and recognize that our positivity and our negativity has a huge impact on the world. It can shatter other people's confidence, and it can also make them. And we get to choose what impact we want to leave in this life. Thank you very much, Becca. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Norbert, for those compliments. I will still bring you on again. Don't worry. I have some question for you here from Whitney, and she's saying that how that you should help her. How can determination and focusing on what you can control lead you to positive thinking? I repeat it again. How determination and focusing on what you can control, how can it lead you to positive thinking? She has dropped it down there in the comment box. As I take some few hands here, you can be working on those ones. And I have some comment here from Amama Destiny that if you fill your mind with negativity, you shouldn't be surprised when you experience a negative outlook on life. You should be very careful about the type of news and opinions that you fill your mind with. Always have the ability to set your mind positive. I appreciate everyone here. This is from Saul. We'll hope to get more of this. There was one that I really skipped, but a part that I feel I should read it for you guys. It is from Wakida. I once was saying that positive thinking all begins with believe in yourself, and she added a phrase that you should know that you are your greatest moral booster before everyone else. So this mindset has a huge impact on how you view different aspects of life. So that is something that I skipped, and I think it is of great value for us. And then one here from that is from Nakato Bridget is saying that, hello everyone here, I'm so happy to be part of this discussion. And for me, that's according to Bridget, I think positive thinking is the ability to see good in what seems bad. Then at that particular moment, That way you will get the self-satisfaction. That is what is coming from Nakato Bridget. Then Aguta Innocent, aka the Jungle, saying that thank you for this innovation. Our presentation, we are timely. And he has quoted something here that a wise man once said that when you use your candle to light another candle, you actually lose nothing. You instead receive blessings from God. The knowledge that you gave us free of charge is lighting new channels of wealth for us. But how can we access what we missed? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry, he's trying to ask you, will you like offer the notes that you have prepared, or is whatever you prepared, but you'll come back to that. I'm sorry, he got in late and he has missed certain things in this discussion. So those are some of the messages and comments that I have here. Let me check if there are some hands here before we summarize. Just know that we are left with about 23 minutes to close this very educative talk. And if you have some comments that we need to, maybe something that you want us to improve on, certain things you want us to do the next time, or is you have feedback that you want to give regarding this very discussion, please, I am dropping my WhatsApp number there in the comment box, and you will use it to text me directly, okay? My name is Becca, so you can drop your message in my inbox about improvement, just basically about the feedback from this evening's discussion. I will be grateful to receive it, and I promise you, we shall use them also positively to do the next discussion better. So very soon, you will see my number there in the chat box. And person with anything, any addition from the discussion, or is want to understand something, come on, you are welcome. Let me see if somebody has raised up their hands before we give chance for Norbert to answer the question that Whitney asked, how determination and focusing on what you can control can lead you to positive thinking. No, but for now, I think I am throwing the ball back to you to help our sister Whitney. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I picked out two parts. One is how does determination, and then focusing on what you can control. Now, when you become determined and you start focusing on real things that you can do, you start to achieve certain things. You start to see practical results. Let's say you are looking for a job, and instead of simply thinking, oh, now how will I ever get a job? You start looking for adverts, and you become determined about improving your CV, improving the quality of cover letters that you write, and that determination and starting to focus a lot can land you into an opportunity for an interview. And once you do that interview, it builds your confidence. And you start to realize, oh, I can actually do this. And the way you think from that step onwards will not be the same way you thought before you landed on this. So being determined and focusing on actual things creates a sense of winning. And you begin to look at yourself as a winner. Because we said one of the key drivers of negative thoughts is past failures. If you feel you had failed at something, it can rupture your self-esteem. And so you start thinking, oh, I think I'm just not good enough at this. So being determined creates results, and results turn around to boost your self-esteem, and you start to think positively. And now you say, this time, let me try something bigger, since the other one worked out. And when we focus on what we can control, how does it improve positive thinking? There is so much that happens around us that we cannot control. Somebody could just come from wherever and decide to insult you. You have no control over whether they come or not, but they have appeared and they have insulted you. What I remember during our school days, we had these people who would always give nicknames to, I don't know, teachers or to their fellow students. And whenever they called you by a nickname and you reacted, they got excited and called that again, and they kept repeating this. But if they called you by a nickname, and you just acted normal and didn't allow it to get to you, somehow it went away and you remained normal. You did not get upset. So then you realize that in two scenarios, one person is furious simply because of their reaction, and then another person remains totally normal, but all of them receive the same abuse or the same insult. So there is power in choosing to focus on what you can control, and some to realize that what you can control most is your reaction to things, but not the things that happen. And sometimes if it's not a reaction, then you avoid being in such places and in such settings where you feel disrespected, or scenarios that try to push you to think very negatively. If you're associating with friends who always have a way of doubting you, you know, most of us have these friends that right now, if you're telling them that one day you are going to work with UN, they will laugh and laugh and laugh. And when you think they have stopped, they even start laughing again. And then they're like, but you think, you of all people, you think this is going to happen? Or you're saying, there's this other girl I'm interested in. I really want to date. And they'll be like, you think that girl is in your league? So you have people in your circle that rupture your self-esteem. So you start focusing on how do I evaluate my network? Who do I take out? That is what you can control. You can't control what they say to you, but you have control over who you allow to be your friend and not. So it really has a way to eventually drive a positivity, because then when you become unavailable for negative-minded people, you make yourself available for positive-minded people who influence your positive thought process. And that is, life doesn't allow for a vacuum. So if your life has only negative-minded people, you're always hanging out with them, technically you are knocking out positive-minded people. So you get to choose how you want to use your time. Thank you. Yes, Becca, back to you.
Patience, please unmute. Becca.
Yes, Becca, back to you.
Wow, guys, I'm having technical problem. Oh no.
But we can hear you. We can hear you, Becca.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
maybe, Becca, there was one thing on how this content can be available. I thought that actually there was a video being recorded.
Yeah, there's a video
there should be
recorded.
a link somewhere. So maybe the link can be shared with people so that they can go back and follow this session. Yes.
All right. Thank you. This video has been recorded, and actually right now it is going live on St. Philip's Church YouTube page. And once the session is done, you can actually get it still there. So don't worry, you have not missed anything from this discussion. So trust me, you have not missed anything from this discussion. Once you think you have missed it, after this, just go down to your YouTube page and look for St. Philip's Church of Uganda. You'll get this same discussion going there. Okay, we are left with only 15 minutes, and here I'll be summarizing my issues. Really, I'll be summarizing, and if somebody still has something to put there, I hope the discussion, whatever he has or he has, should really be very brief. Whitney is here saying that wow, he has understood it very, very well. Just to add something small on what you said, a very famous preacher once said that according to Bible, it is a must to love, but choosing somebody to be your friend, a relationship is not a must. I can, yes, no, but I can love you, but it doesn't mean that you just have to be my friend. No, love is a command. Relationship is by choice. So you can avoid things happening in your life by choice. But if you go with every Tom, Dick, and Harry in your life, that's when you will have issues happen in your life. This one will go there, this one is go there, blah, blah, blah. You see trouble beginning to hit up your life. Thank you so much. I think I'll be picking two hands only. Then after that, closing remarks from you, Norbert. Then we say that was the best for today, and we meet on 10th of October 2021, a month after this. Here, people are just appreciating you. Even you can read through the chat box. They're appreciating you for the presentation and the rest. Could there be anyone who still has something there to put across before I welcome? No, but yet again, because he will overspeak today, he's the keynote speaker. So it's not my time to overspeak, but it's our time to learn together as youth. And just know that positive thinking does not affect the youth alone, even the elderly, even the children. It cuts across. So this session, though it is termed as Youth on Alert, but people who know the importance of this very talk, they have joined this. I don't think here we are only having youth. No, we're having even people who are above the youth age limit, or as we're having people who are even below the age of 18 attending this very session, but it cuts across. So after this, I'll be sharing the links in all the platforms that I am in, and also on my statuses. For those who view my statuses too, you can even take it from there and share with others, because this talk, people should not miss it. Is there anyone with a hand up before I summarize the talk? Those of you who needed my number for feedback, I remember dropping it there in the chat box, 0774 111 246. Very simple number. That's the number that I use on WhatsApp. Okay, before I bring on you now, Norbert, to give your closing remarks, allow me to appreciate everyone who has been part of this discussion. I am real humble. This is yet the first episode, or is the first session of Youth on Alert discussion, and the participation was amazing. I tell you, after seeing the number jumping, going up from, that is from 10, 15, 20, 45, 46, I was like, oh God, is this real? Like, I was very impressed by the participation, and people were not leaving. They were attentively listening, paying attention, and later on also commenting on what was discussed. I tell you, I am very impressed and I am humbled. Thank you. Continue with this. I'm hopeful that the next one, though it will be on a different topic, I know it will not be on positive thinking, but the lesson that we have learned today about positive thinking will help us in our days, so that next time when you have a choice to make, a decision to do, you will really think positively. Thank you so much, all the participants. I cannot mention you name by name, but you know yourself, from Adakora Soul, Emily, going to Charity, Belinda, just a lot of names here, Ada, Ivan, Angela, Michael, Asian Jamil, who is our assistant youth leader, Aya Gilbert, who this one is a clinical person. Thank you for joining. Doreen, Caesar, Belinda, Favor, Elizabeth, Immaculate, Faith, Amanda, James Opio, Judith, wow, Malamongo, Malek, Grace, Mary, a lot of names. If I'm not mentioning the name, sorry, just excuse me, because I'm fighting against time. Thank you so much. Since this is a church-related activity, after the closing remarks, I'll be requesting. There are some people who are quiet here. I'm going to choose a name from these participants. You're going to pray for us to end the discussion, but you'll pray after the closing remarks being given by, that is our own Norbert. So after this, Immaculate, or is Immaculate, depending on how you pronounce it, but allow me use Immaculate, Anyango, you'll be praying for us after this. So Norbert.
Okay, thank you very much, Becca. I have said a lot of things from the very start of our interaction up to now. But for now, I would like to thank you for taking this lead to organize this. And you, man, you're really a great mobilizer. And I think it's my second time to interact with the Anglican Church community. I remember doing a training. I think it was a youth event in Kuluva. It was, yeah, that was
it was
UCU?
youth camp in UCU.
Yeah, the youth camp, yeah.
Mm.
And so it's also really nice to interface with this group today. And I want to thank all those who have joined from that and from that network. There are also people from my personal network who joined this when they heard that actually I was going to speak. And I want to thank them for that sense of faith in my work. Maybe something also to mention is that I write a lot on Facebook and LinkedIn. Actually, I made a decision so many years back to try to drive positive energy in society. So my Facebook page, Facebook account and page have the same name as you see right now, Banio Luigi Norbert, in that order. And you can always follow me there for another content. And there's also another page that I created, and we manage it closely with Wakida, who are also joined here. And there are people who write on it, including myself. I saw Theodora, who also joined here. And there's also usually a lot of educative content on those pages. And another to mention is that this is something I've been doing for long, speaking to inspire, trying to talk about different topics. And so somewhere this year decided to formalize it and register a company. So I'm actually a CEO for Capacity Beyond. And under Capacity Beyond, one of our thematic areas is psychosocial support, which looks at the aspects of inspirational speaking, team building events that also enhance capacities and performance of teams, of staff and all that. So, but what I've done for St. Philip's today is my contribution to the church community. And I want to thank Becca for this offer. And I look forward someday to interacting with all of you. My last message for you is that you are all you have. And this life you have is all that you will have. Make it count. You are all you have, and make it count. The other second message is that nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes me anything. And when we look at life from that perspective, we start to take responsibility for the things that we do. We start to take responsibility for our progress. And we stop blaming a lot of people for what is working, what is not working well. And we start to focus on what we can do within our limits. And we rely a lot on internal strength rather than external, drawing strength from our sense of self-worth and also from our spirituality, our connection with God, rather than the external validations that would come, which often we have less control over. So when you know that you are all that, the best you'll ever have, like Wakida said, you are the best moral booster you'll ever have. You're the best support system you'll ever have. You are the best ally you'll ever have. Because God gave you that strength and is ready to bless every effort. If you're putting in your all, it takes away power you had given other people and brings it back to you, and you have more control. And so I wish you all the best. And as you move out there, may God bless you, and may you be ambassadors of positivity. And know that even when it gets challenging and negative thoughts come, like I said in the beginning, all of us go through this. Don't be upset with yourself. Rather think of and realize that, oh, I think I need to switch my thought process. I think I need to take action on things I can change. And then thank God for what I've achieved. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Norbert. God bless you more. whatever you have done, and God will reward you. Your efforts would not go pending. Your reward is already there. Blessings are there. We can ask more because God already blessed us. Thank you. Key point that you should not forget, as we're left with 4 minutes to close, is that you are all you have. You are all you have. Those of you who have put their cameras on, come on. I'm looking directly at you. You are all that you have. And you don't owe someone or is anybody anything. Okay? If you're not like that, Kia said, you will think positively. Thank you so much, Mr. Banyo Luigi Norbert. You can follow him on Facebook and on LinkedIn. You will surely be there with him. Then there's also a page that they run called The Walk of Life, if I am sure. That's the page that also running on Facebook. And there are a lot of inspiring posts that you can go there. Once you read them, you know that, wow, you're somebody in life. Thank you so much. Jemla, I've seen your message. Let us now welcome our sister Immaculate to close for us this session with a word of prayer and we sum the evening. Thank you, Immaculate. You're free to unmute.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening, Immaculate.
Good evening.
Let's humble ourselves and pray.
Yes, good evening, Immaculate.
Oh, loving Father in heaven, I want to thank you for this day. I want to thank you for the gift of our lives. Father, we want to pray that you continue blessing us with so that whatever is positive, I pray all this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for being part of the discussion, and I really appreciate. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much in your capacities. Maybe if I've missed mentioning your name in any of my talks, please, it was not intentional. I just forgot. Thank you so much, and have the best of your weekend. God bless you.
Becca, we have seen you enough.
Belinda, what?